the self. Our homes are not just structures of wood and concrete. They are reflections of our inner world. Every corner holds a story, every object carries a memory, and every task reveals a truth about how we move through life. When we tend to our homes, we are in many ways tending to ourselves. The state of our living space often mirrors the state of our emotional space, and the rituals we perform within it become quiet declarations of who we are becoming. Taking out the trash. Releasing toxicity, taking out the trash, is a powerful metaphor for letting go of what no longer serves us. Trash accumulates naturally, just as emotional waste does. Old resentments, outdated beliefs, and lingering negativity. When we ignore it, it begins to smell, reminding us that avoidance has consequences. Removing it becomes an act of self-respect, a boundary that protects our inner environment. It teaches us that letting go must be done regularly, not only when the bin overflows. Each step toward the outside bin symbolizes a step toward clarity. The relief we feel afterward mirrors the relief of emotional detox. This chore reminds us that we deserve a clean space, inside and out. It shows us that release is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. And in taking out the trash, we reclaim our right to live unburdened. 7. Watering plants. Sustaining growth. Watering plants teaches us that growth is rarely dramatic, is slow, quiet, and often invisible until the moment it suddenly becomes undeniable. Each drop of water is a small act of faith, a gesture that says, I believe something is happening beneath the surface. Plants do not thrive because we demand it. They thrive because we show up consistently. Neglect becomes evident quickly, reminding us that even the strongest living things require care. But revival is also possible, proving that life responds generously to attention. Watering becomes a ritual of patience, a reminder that nurturing is not a one-time act, but a continuous commitment. It teaches us to honor the process, not just the outcome. It shows us that growth requires gentleness, not force. And in tending to plants, we learn to tend to our own emotional landscapes. We know that progress is often quiet, subtle, and easily overlooked. And in the slow unfolding of leaves, we witness the truth that growth is always happening, even when we cannot yet see it. 8. Organizing closets. Confronting hidden truths. Organizing a closet is an act of courage because it forces us to face the things we've tucked away, not just objects, but versions of ourselves. Every forgotten shirt, every old box, every misplaced item becomes a symbol of a moment we didn't fully process. Opening the closet door is like opening a chapter of our past we've avoided reading. Sorting through it requires honesty. What still serves us, and what have we outgrown? Letting go is rarely easy, but it is always liberating. Each item we release frees a little more space inside us. The mess we uncover mirrors the emotional clutter we often hide from others. As we fold, categorize, and discard, we reclaim control of our narrative. The space we create becomes a physical representation of clarity. Organizing a closet teaches us that healing begins with facing what we've stored away. Ultimately, we discover that our most authentic selves emerge when we make room for who we are becoming. 9. Vacuuming. Removing invisible weight. Vacuuming reminds us that not all burdens are visible. Dust settles quietly, just like stress, worry, and unspoken fears. When we vacuum, we remove what we may not have noticed, but have certainly felt. The hum of the machine becomes a cleansing sound, a reminder that even unseen weight deserves attention. Vacuuming teaches us that clarity requires maintenance, not just transformation. It shows us that the small things we ignore can accumulate into something overwhelming. The clean lines left behind symbolize the restoration of order. This chore becomes a ritual of emotional hygiene. It encourages us to address this subtle heaviness before it becomes too much. It reminds us that tending to the invisible is an act of self-respect. And in clearing what we cannot see, we create space for peace to return. Vacuuming teaches us that lightness is something we must actively cultivate. 10. Wiping windows. Clarifying perspective. Wiping windows is the act of restoring clarity to our view of the world. Over time, smudges, dust, and streaks distort what we see, just as biases, fears, and assumptions distort our perception. Cleaning the glass becomes a metaphor for emotional and mental clarity. It teaches us that seeing clearly requires effort and honesty. As the light pours in, we are reminded of the beauty that was always there but temporarily obscured. Wiping windows encourages us to question our distortions. It shows us that clarity is not a given but a practice. The world looks different when the glass is clean, and in restoring transparency, we restore truth. This chore reminds us that perspective shapes experience. When we choose to clean our lenses, we prefer to see life with renewed openness. Wiping windows teaches us that clarity is an act of courage.